Dr. Marcus Rodriguez hunched over his telescope, the cool night air of the observatory a welcome relief after the sweltering summer day. The midnight stars twinkled above the New Mexico desert as he adjusted the focus, searching for the anomaly he'd tracked for weeks. A soft blue glow emanated from behind him, casting strange shadows across his equipment. "You're working late again, my love," came the melodic voice that still sent shivers down Marcus's spine despite 3 months of companionship. Marcus turned to see Alara standing in the doorway, her luminescent blue skin shimmering in the darkness. 6 feet tall with flowing silver hair that seemed to move as if underwater, Alara's large almond-shaped eyes reflected the starlight like polished obsidian. "The Perseid meteor shower peaks tonight," Marcus explained, gesturing for Alara to join him. "Besides, it's cooler up here. I thought you'd still be in the basement with the air conditioning." Alara glided across the observatory floor, her movements graceful despite her obvious discomfort. Tiny beads of indigo perspiration formed along her hairline. "I missed you," she said simply, wrapping her arms around Marcus from behind. "Your planet's proximity to your sun is challenging, but bearable when the star sets." Marcus leaned back into the embrace, marveling at how quickly he'd adjusted to loving someone from another world. When Alara's small research vessel had crashed near the observatory 3 months ago, Marcus had kept the alien visitor secret from his colleagues, helping repair her ship while they fell hopelessly in love. Now, with repairs still months from completion, they shared Marcus's small house at the base of the mountain. "Tomorrow's forecast says it'll hit 103 degrees, Marcus warned, turning to caress Alara's face. "Maybe we should skip the farmer's market." Alara's expression darkened. "But I promised to try your watermelon. I've been practicing wearing your cooling garments." The memory of yesterday's disaster flashed through Marcus's mind, Alara frantically shedding her clothes in the middle of the supermarket when the air conditioning temporarily failed. Marcus had barely managed to cover her with a jacket and hustle her out before anyone noticed her non-human features. "Your body temperature regulation is different from ours," Marcus reminded her gently. "On Lyria, you said the average temperature is what we'd consider freezing." "I will adapt," Alara insisted, her fingers tracing the curve of Marcus's neck. "For you." The determination in Alara's voice made Marcus's heart flutter. He turned fully into the embrace, pressing his lips against the cool softness of Alara's mouth. The alien's skin tasted faintly of mint and something unidentifiable, something not of Earth. "We'll go early," Marcus conceded between kisses. "Before the sun's too high." Their kisses deepened as Alara's fingers wove through Marcus's dark hair. Marcus marveled at how perfectly they fit together despite evolving on planets light years apart. Alara's touch, slightly cool against Marcus's warm skin, created a delicious contrast that heightened every sensation. "The stars look different here," Alara whispered, breaking their kiss to gaze upward through the observatory dome. "But beautiful. Like you." Marcus led Alara to the small cot he kept for overnight observations. As clothing fell away, their bodies intertwined beneath the cosmos. Marcus traced the luminescent patterns on Alara's skin, patterns that glowed brighter with each caress. Their lovemaking was gentle yet urgent, a bridge between worlds that defied the laws of probability. Later, as they lay tangled together, Alara's body temperature had risen noticeably, her brow furrowed in discomfort despite the night's coolness. "You're overheating again," Marcus observed with concern. "Worth it," Alara murmured, but she shifted restlessly. Without warning, she stood and walked naked to the observatory's open window, letting the night breeze wash over her glowing skin. "Alara," Marcus hissed, instinctively looking around though they were alone at this hour. "Someone could see you." "The notion that bodies must be hidden is so strange," she replied, turning to face him. The moonlight illuminated her form, making her skin shimmer like the surface of an alien sea. "On Lyria, we celebrate the vessel that carries our consciousness." Marcus wrapped a blanket around his waist and joined her at the window. "It's not about shame. It's about privacy, intimacy. Some things are special because they're just for us." Alara considered this, then nodded slowly. "Your customs are fascinating. Contradictory, but fascinating." She leaned against him, her temperature slowly stabilizing in the night air. "Tomorrow, I will try harder not to remove my coverings in public, even when the heat becomes unbearable." Marcus kissed her forehead, wondering how they would manage as summer intensified. The cooling vest he'd been designing in the lab wasn't ready yet, and Alara's biology made Earth's climate a constant challenge. "I'm sorry my planet is so hot for you," he murmured. Alara's lips curved in a smile that was almost human, and I'm sorry my response to heat causes such concern. But I would endure much worse to be with you, Marcus Rodriguez. As they returned to the cot, Marcus pulled Alara close, their bodies finding that perfect temperature balance between them. Tomorrow would bring challenges, but tonight, under the watchful eyes of distant stars, they had found their own universe together, a place where differences in biology and custom faded into insignificance against the gravitational pull of their hearts. The farmers' market bustled with early morning activity as Marcus guided Alara through the colorful stalls. They had arrived just after dawn as promised, the temperature still reasonably cool at 78 degrees. Alara wore a loose cotton sundress and wide-brimmed hat, an outfit Marcus had carefully selected for maximum airflow while maintaining modesty. Remember, Marcus whispered, if you start feeling too warm, tell me immediately. We'll head straight back to the car where the cooler is. Alara nodded, her silver hair tucked beneath the hat. With the special contact lenses Marcus had procured, her eyes appeared almost human, merely an unusual shade of deep violet rather than their true obsidian depth. Her blue skin had been explained away as a rare genetic condition to the few neighbors who had encountered her. The diversity of plant life on your world is astonishing, Alara murmured, inhaling deeply at a flower stand. On Lyria, vegetation is primarily crystalline. Nothing produces these scents. Marcus smiled, enjoying her wonder. These moments made all the complications worthwhile. Seeing Earth through Alara's eyes transformed the mundane into the magical. They approached a watermelon vendor, and Alara's face lit up with recognition. The spherical fruit you promised, she exclaimed, louder than Marcus would have liked. The vendor, a weathered man in his 60s, chuckled. Your girlfriend sure gets excited about watermelon. She's not from around here, Marcus explained, selecting a ripe melon. As they continued through the market, the morning sun climbed higher, and Marcus noticed the first signs of Alara's discomfort, the subtle shift in her posture, the faint indigo flush creeping up her neck. Let's find some shade, he suggested, guiding her toward a large oak tree at the edge of the market. Under the tree's canopy, Alara sighed with relief. Your star rises so quickly, she observed, her fingers already working at the top button of her dress. Marcus gently caught her hand. Not here, love. Remember what we discussed. But the coverings trap heat against my skin, she protested. On Lyria, we would simply shed layers as needed. No one would think twice. An elderly couple walking by glanced curiously in their direction. Earth isn't Lyria, Marcus whispered, acutely aware of the growing attention. Our customs are different. Customs that cause physical distress seem illogical, Alara countered, but she dropped her hands to her sides. Marcus recognized the stubborn set of her jaw, the same expression she wore when explaining complex interstellar physics that were beyond his comprehension. Tell me more about how bodies are viewed on your world, he said, hoping to distract her while simultaneously cooling her down with a bottle of water he pressed against her wrist. Alara's expression softened. Our bodies are simply vessels, important ones, yes, but not sacred or secret. We adorn them for celebration or communication, but covering them is done for practical purposes only. She accepted the water bottle gratefully, pressing it against her neck. Your species' embarrassment about your natural form is puzzling. Marcus considered this. It's not embarrassment exactly. It's that we consider our bodies private. Sharing them is an act of trust and intimacy. Like how you share yours with me? Alara asked, her voice dropping to that melodic tone that never failed to quicken his pulse. Yes, he replied, suddenly very aware of the memory of her luminescent skin against his the night before. Exactly like that. Alara leaned closer, her lips nearly brushing his ear. Then perhaps we should return to your dwelling. The heat becomes unbearable. The double meaning wasn't lost on Marcus. He gathered their purchases, including the untasted watermelon, and they headed toward the parking lot. They had almost reached the car when a child's voice rang out. Mommy, why is that lady blue? Marcus froze. Alara's makeup must be running in the heat. He turned to see a small smudge of blue visible at Alara's collar where perspiration had dissolved the concealer. The child's mother apologized hastily, pulling her curious daughter away, but the damage was done. Alara's eyes widened in panic as she felt the makeup failing, the uncomfortable heat forgotten in the face of potential discovery. Get in the car, Marcus said quietly, unlocking the door. Once inside with the air conditioning blasting, Alara's panic subsided, replaced by confusion. Why did that small human's observation disturb you? Is blue skin truly so alarming? Marcus started the engine, thinking carefully about his response. It's not that it's alarming. It's that it's different in a way that would raise questions we can't answer. You're ashamed of me, Alara said, the hurt evident in her voice. No. Marcus reached for her hand. Never that. I'm trying to protect you. If people discovered what you are, you might be taken away, studied. I couldn't bear to lose you. The air between them filled with unspoken tension as Marcus drove them home. When they arrived, Alara immediately went to the basement, where the combination of underground insulation and powerful air conditioning created the closest approximation to Lyria's climate they could manage. Marcus followed, finding her seated on the edge of the bed they shared, her dress discarded, skin glowing with its natural luminescence in the dim light. I apologize, she said formally. I did not intend to cause difficulties. Marcus knelt before her. You have nothing to apologize for. I'm the one who should be sorry. I've been so focused on helping you adapt to our ways that I haven't fully appreciated how difficult this transition is for you. He took her cool hands in his. Maybe instead of just you adapting to Earth, we need to find a middle ground, a way for both our worlds to coexist. Alara's expression softened. A binary star system, she murmured. Two different bodies orbiting the same center. Exactly. Marcus leaned forward to kiss her, the taste of her alien lips now as familiar as his own heartbeat. Their reconciliation deepened as clothing fell away completely. In the cool basement, they explored each other with renewed curiosity and appreciation. Marcus traced the patterns of light that appeared on Alara's skin whenever they made love, constellations of pleasure unique to her species. She, in turn, marveled at the warmth of his human body, so strange and wonderful to her touch. Afterward, lying together in perfect temperature equilibrium, Marcus reflected on how quickly the extraordinary had become his normal. He wouldn't trade this complicated, interstellar love for anything simpler. We should try the watermelon, he suggested, propping himself up on one elbow. Alara smiled, her luminescence pulsing gently with contentment. Yes, and then perhaps you can explain why humans wear so many different types of coverings when they all serve the same basic function. Marcus laughed. That might take all day. We have time, she replied, tracing her fingers along his chest. As long as we stay in this wonderfully cold room. Marcus's university laboratory was empty on Sunday afternoon, exactly as he'd hoped. He punched in his access code and guided Alara through the door, checking once more to ensure no colleagues were around. This facility is primitive compared to Lyrian science centers, Alara observed, running her fingers over the equipment, but it has charm. Marcus smiled despite his nervousness. It's primitive enough that I'd lose my position if anyone found out I was using it for personal projects. He unlocked a cabinet and removed what looked like a thin vest made of an unusual metallic fabric. 3 weeks of late-night work had gone into its creation, a cooling system designed specifically for Alara's physiology. The latest prototype, he explained, handing it to her. The inner layer contains a network of cooling fibers powered by these miniature batteries. He pointed to small discs embedded in the fabric. They should maintain a temperature close to Lyria's ambient environment for up to 8 hours. Alara examined it with the analytical precision that reminded Marcus she was a scientist on her world, too. The engineering is ingenious for your technological level, she said, which Marcus had learned to take as high praise. Let's try it on, he suggested, checking his watch. We have about 2 hours before the security guard makes his rounds. Alara slipped the vest over her simple tank top. Marcus activated the system, and within moments, Alara's expression transformed from polite interest to genuine wonder. Marcus, she whispered, her hands moving across the fabric. It feels like home. Pride swelled in his chest as he monitored the temperature readings. It's working within parameters. How does it feel when you move? Alara walked around the lab, stretching her arms and twisting her torso. The flexibility is excellent. She turned to him with shining eyes. This changes everything. Marcus approached, adjusting a connection at her shoulder. It's still experimental. I need to run more tests before you wear it in public. But this means I could attend your astronomy department reception tomorrow night, Alara said, excitement making her luminescence visible even through her clothing. I can finally meet your colleagues without fear of overheating. Marcus hesitated. The department reception was a major event, dozens of people in a potentially warm room for hours. Maybe we should test it in a less critical situation first. I've studied your social customs extensively, Alara insisted. I've practiced human conversational patterns and memorized your cover story. With this cooling system, I can maintain optimal temperature without disrobing inappropriately. Her eyes held his. Please, Marcus. I want to be part of your world, not just hidden away in your basement. How could he refuse when she put it that way? All right, he conceded. But stay close to me, and if anything feels wrong with the vest, we leave immediately. Alara's smile was worth the risk. She stepped closer, the coolness of the vest creating an interesting contrast where their bodies met. Your brilliance as a scientist is matched only by your kindness, she murmured, her lips finding his. What began as a gentle thank you kiss quickly deepened. The laboratory's privacy and the excitement of the moment fueled their passion. Soon they were clearing a space on Marcus's desk, papers and equipment carefully moved aside. Alara's cooling vest remained on as they made love, creating a fascinating sensation of hot and cold that heightened every touch. Marcus discovered new patterns of luminescence on Alara's skin, ones he hadn't seen before, pulsing in time with her pleasure. The temperature variance increases sensory input, Alara gasped, her scientific mind never completely dormant even in passion. Fascinating. Marcus laughed softly against her neck. Only you would analyze sensations during intimacy. Is that not normal for humans? She asked, genuinely curious. Not typically, he replied, kissing her again. Most of us just feel. Then I shall try to just feel, Alara whispered, closing her eyes and surrendering to the moment. Afterward, as they rearranged the laboratory to its previous state, Marcus checked the cooling vest systems. Still functioning perfectly, he announced. Battery charge at 78% after vigorous testing. Alara laughed, the musical sound echoing in the empty lab. Perhaps you should note that particular test in your research log. Marcus grinned, imagining his department chair's face if such notes ever became public. I think that will remain in the unofficial record. They were making final adjustments to the vest when a noise in the hallway froze them both. Marcus quickly helped Alara slip her regular shirt over the vest as the laboratory door swung open. Dr. Rodriguez? Professor Alvarez stood in the doorway, surprise evident on his face. I didn't expect anyone here on Sunday. Just finishing some work before tomorrow's reception, Marcus explained, positioning himself slightly in front of Alara. The department chair's gaze shifted to Alara. And you must be the girlfriend we've heard so much about, but never met. He extended his hand. Victor Alvarez, department chair. Alara, she replied, taking his hand with perfect pressure, neither too firm nor too limp, just as Marcus had taught her. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Will you be joining us tomorrow night? Alvarez asked. Yes, Alara said before Marcus could intervene. I'm looking forward to it. Excellent. About time Rodriguez brought you around. The department was beginning to think he'd invented you. Alvarez chuckled at his own joke. After a few more minutes of awkward small talk, they managed to escape. In the car, Marcus exhaled deeply. That was close. I think I performed adequately, Alara said, a hint of pride in her voice. He didn't suspect I was non-terrestrial. You were perfect, Marcus assured her. But tomorrow will be more challenging. Dozens of people, all asking questions. With your cooling vest, I can manage. Alara touched the device beneath her shirt. This is freedom, Marcus. A bridge between our worlds. Looking at her hopeful expression, Marcus pushed aside his lingering concerns. Tomorrow would be fine. The vest was functioning perfectly. What could possibly go wrong? The next evening arrived with ominous clouds gathering on the horizon. Marcus helped Alara prepare, applying the special makeup that disguised her blue tint, ensuring her contacts were comfortable, and activating the cooling vest systems. Remember, astronomy department members will ask about your background, he reminded her as they drove to campus. Stick to our story, you're a visiting researcher from Norway studying comparative atmospheric sciences. Alara nodded, the picture of calm confidence. I've memorized all details, including appropriate references to your Earth's Norwegian culture. She reached for his hand. Don't worry so much, Marcus. The cooling system works perfectly. As they entered the reception hall, the air conditioning was already fighting a losing battle against the heat of too many bodies in too small a space. Marcus felt a momentary panic, but a quick glance at Alara reassured him. She showed no signs of discomfort. Dr. Rodriguez called Professor Alvarez, waving them over to a group of faculty members. Come introduce us properly to your mysterious lady friend. For the first hour, everything went remarkably well. Alara charmed his colleagues with her intelligent questions and insightful observations about astronomical phenomena. Her accent, which they assumed was Norwegian, added to her exotic appeal. Then the storm that had been threatening all evening finally broke. A massive thunderclap preceded a power outage that plunged the reception into darkness. Emergency lights kicked on seconds later, but the air conditioning did not. Marcus immediately looked to Alara, who gave him a reassuring smile. The cooling vest continued functioning on battery power, unaffected by the outage. "Nothing to worry about," announced Professor Alvarez. "The generators will kick in shortly. Meanwhile, let's continue our celebration the old-fashioned way." He raised his glass in a toast. 30 minutes later, with the power still out and the room growing steadily warmer, Marcus noticed the first signs of trouble. Alara's smile had become fixed, her posture rigid. He glanced at his watch. The vest's batteries should still have several hours of charge. "Are you okay?" he whispered. "Something's wrong," she murmured back. "The cooling system is fluctuating." Panic flared in Marcus's chest. Had the electrical storm somehow affected the circuitry? He placed his hand discreetly against her back and felt it. The vest was warming up instead of cooling down. "We need to leave," he said urgently. "Now." But as they turned to make their excuses, Professor Alvarez appeared with the university president in tow. "Before you go anywhere, I want you to meet President Garcia. She's very interested in your atmospheric research, Dr. Nordheim," Alara supplied smoothly, though Marcus could see beads of indigo perspiration forming at her hairline. The makeup would start running soon. As the president launched into questions about Norwegian research institutions, Marcus watched in horror as Alara's hands moved unconsciously to the top button of her blouse. "Fascinating research focus, Dr. Nordheim," President Garcia continued, oblivious to Alara's growing distress. "Your comparative analysis of atmospheric conditions could be valuable to our climate science department." Marcus watched in mounting horror as Alara's fingers moved to the second button of her blouse. Sweat, distinctly bluish, was now visible at her temples, and her makeup was beginning to streak. The cooling vest had clearly malfunctioned catastrophically, likely converting to a heating element due to the electrical storm's interference. "Actually, President Garcia," Marcus interrupted, "Alara isn't feeling well. The heat." "I'm fine," Alara insisted, though her voice had taken on the slightly melodic tone that emerged when she was under stress. She was clearly trying to maintain the facade for his sake, but her discomfort was becoming unbearable. "Perhaps some fresh air," suggested Professor Alvarez, noticing her distress if not its alien nature. "Yes, excellent idea," Marcus said quickly, taking Alara's arm. But as he guided her toward the balcony doors, disaster struck. The vest, now actively overheating, must have become painful against her skin. With a small cry that was decidedly inhuman, Alara's instincts took over. Before Marcus could stop her, she had unbuttoned her blouse and was frantically trying to remove the malfunctioning vest. The reception fell silent as Alara, in her desperation to cool down, discarded not just the vest, but her blouse entirely. Standing in only her bra, her skin now unmistakably blue where the makeup had smeared, she looked around the room with wide, black eyes, the contacts having shifted during her distress. "Oh my God," someone whispered. "What is she?" Professor Alvarez stepped forward, confusion warring with scientific curiosity on his face. "Dr. Rodriguez, what exactly is going on here?" Marcus made a split-second decision. Wrapping his jacket around Alara's shoulders, he addressed the stunned crowd. "My friend has a rare medical condition that makes her extremely sensitive to heat. Please excuse us." He guided the now shivering Alara through the crowd, which parted like the Red Sea before them. Whispers followed them out, along with the unmistakable sounds of phone cameras clicking. "I'm sorry," Alara murmured once they were in the car. "I couldn't bear it any longer." "It's not your fault," Marcus said, speeding away from the university. "The vest malfunctioned. I should have tested it more thoroughly." By the time they reached home, social media was already buzzing. Someone had uploaded photos of the blue woman at the university reception, and the more fantastical speculation had begun. Fortunately, most comments assumed elaborate body paint or a publicity stunt for the science department. Marcus helped Alara into the basement, where he quickly disconnected the faulty vest and applied cool compresses to her overheated skin. As her temperature stabilized, the gravity of their situation sank in. "They saw me," Alara said quietly. "They know I'm different. They suspect something, but they don't know what," Marcus replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. Most people will assume it was a prank or makeup. His phone rang. Professor Alvarez. Marcus silenced it, knowing the conversation that awaited him would be difficult. Your professional standing is compromised because of me, Alara observed, her luminescence dimmed with distress. My professional standing isn't important, Marcus insisted, sitting beside her on the bed. You are. Her large eyes studied him. You would sacrifice your life's work for me? In a heartbeat, he answered without hesitation. Astronomy is what I do, not who I am. You've helped me see the universe in ways my telescope never could. Alara touched his face, her fingers cool again now that she was recovering. On my world, we have a concept called soul resonance, the rare phenomenon where two beings share a harmonic frequency at the quantum level. It is said to happen only once in many lifetimes. Soulmates, Marcus translated. Similar, but more fundamental. Two entities whose basic particles vibrate in complementary patterns. She smiled sadly. I believe we share this resonance, Marcus Rodriguez. Despite originating on different worlds, despite our biological incompatibilities, our souls recognize each other. Marcus pressed his forehead against hers. Then we'll find a way through this. Together. The next morning brought the expected fallout. Email notifications flooded Marcus's phone from Professor Alvarez, the University Ethics Committee, and various colleagues. News outlets had picked up the story of the Blue Woman incident, though thankfully none had made the leap to extraterrestrial origins yet. He had just finished explaining the situation to Alara when his doorbell rang. Stay here, he told her, heading upstairs with trepidation. Professor Alvarez stood on his porch, alone. I expected the FBI or NASA, Marcus said, only half joking as he invited his department chair inside. They may not be far behind, Alvarez replied grimly, settling into Marcus's living room. Your friend isn't from Norway, is she? There seemed little point in further deception. No. And the blue skin isn't makeup or a medical condition, I assume? Marcus remained silent, which was answer enough. Alvarez leaned forward. Look, Rodriguez, I've spent my career studying celestial bodies. I know when something, or someone, isn't from this world. Marcus felt a chill despite the warm morning. What do you want, Victor? The truth would be nice, Alvarez replied. Not for publication or authorities, just for me. Do you know what it would mean to confirm intelligent extraterrestrial life? I know exactly what it would mean, Marcus said firmly. Confinement, experimentation, fear, sensationalism. She's not a research subject or a headline. She's a person. A person you clearly care deeply about, Alvarez observed. Yes, Marcus admitted. The professor sighed, rubbing his temples. The university wants an explanation. The president is furious about what she calls your inappropriate prank during the reception. What are you going to tell them? That depends on what you tell me, Alvarez countered. Marcus weighed his options. Alvarez was a scientist first, but also someone Marcus had trusted as a mentor for years. Taking a deep breath, he made his decision. Her name is Alara. She's a xenobiologist from a planet she calls Lyria, approximately 37 light-years from Earth. Her research vessel suffered a navigation malfunction and crashed near the observatory 3 months ago. Alvarez's eyes widened as Marcus continued, explaining Alara's physiology, her temperature sensitivity, and their efforts to repair her ship while keeping her presence secret. I was working on a cooling system to help her tolerate Earth's climate, Marcus concluded. It malfunctioned during the power outage. Silence filled the room after Marcus finished. Finally, Alvarez spoke. If even half of what you've told me is true, this is the most significant event in human history. It's all true, came Alara's voice from the stairway. She had donned one of Marcus's shirts and appeared calm and composed, her natural blue skin undisguised. Alvarez stared, scientist's curiosity warring with human disbelief. Remarkable, he whispered. Alara approached, her movements graceful despite her caution. Professor Alvarez, I apologize for the disruption I've caused to your academic gathering. On my world, such a response to overheating would be perfectly acceptable. No apology necessary, Alvarez said, finding his voice. Dr. Rodriguez explained the circumstances. Will you report my presence to your authorities? Alara asked directly. Alvarez looked between them, noting how Marcus had moved protectively to Alara's side. That depends on whether you pose any threat to Earth. None whatsoever, Alara assured him. I am a scientist, like you. My mission was to study developing worlds, not interfere with them. And your relationship with Dr. Rodriguez? Was not part of my research parameters, Alara admitted, her hand finding Marcus's. But some forces transcend scientific protocol. Alvarez nodded slowly. I should report this. It's my duty as a scientist and a citizen. Victor, Marcus began. But, Alvarez continued, I'm also a romantic. And I recognize that some discoveries aren't mine to share. He stood, straightening his jacket. The official story will be that Dr. Rodriguez's girlfriend has a rare skin condition and suffered heat exhaustion during the power outage. The university will issue an apology for the inadequate climate control that led to her distress. Relief washed over Marcus. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Alvarez warned. This buys you time, but photos are already circulating. Others may make connections I have. We understand, Alara said. And we appreciate your discretion. As Alvarez prepared to leave, he paused at the door. Rodriguez, I've always thought you were one of our most promising astronomers. Now I see you've made the most extraordinary discovery of all and kept it to yourself. Some discoveries are personal, Marcus replied. Not meant for journals or conferences. After Alvarez left, Marcus and Alara stood in silence, processing the narrow escape. He won't keep our secret forever, Alara said finally. It's too significant. Then we need to accelerate repairs on your ship, Marcus replied, pulling her into his arms. Not because I want you to leave, but because we need options. Alara rested her head against his chest, listening to his human heartbeat. There is another option. You could come with me when the ship is repaired. The suggestion hung in the air between them. Leave Earth, everything he knew, his career, his home planet, for her. Would that even be possible? He asked quietly. Lyria's atmosphere would be comfortable for you with minimal adaptation, she explained. And my people would welcome you as they welcome all new knowledge. Marcus cupped her face in his hands. A human and an alien, defying astronomical odds to find each other. How could I not follow where that leads? Their kiss deepened, a promise of possibilities that spanned solar systems. Whatever came next, public exposure, scientific scrutiny, interstellar travel, they would face it together, two beings whose souls resonated across the void of space. 1 month after the reception incident, Marcus stood in his basement laboratory, making final adjustments to what he now called Alara's equilibrium, the third generation of the cooling system. Unlike the disastrous earlier version, this one featured redundant safety measures, water-based backup cooling, and electromagnetic shielding to prevent interference from electrical storms. Try it now, he instructed, stepping back to observe. Alara slipped the sleek garment over her shoulders. Gone was the bulky vest design, replaced by a form-fitting undergarment that could be worn beneath regular clothing without detection. Activating primary systems, she said, pressing the nearly invisible control panel at her wrist. The soft hum of the cooling mechanism engaged, and the readings on Marcus's tablet showed perfect functioning. Temperature optimal, she confirmed, smiling. And the aesthetic design is much improved. Form and function, Marcus agreed, circling her to check all connection points. How's the mobility? Alara demonstrated with a series of stretches and movements that would have been impossible with the previous design. Perfect equilibrium between my biology and your technology, she announced. Just like us. Marcus smiled at the metaphor. The past month had been challenging. Managing the fallout from the reception, accelerating repairs on Alara's ship with parts he'd quietly requisitioned from the university labs, and keeping curious colleagues at bay. Professor Alvarez had maintained their secret, though Marcus often caught him looking at Alara with unrestrained scientific fascination during the few careful social interactions they permitted. Ready for the heat test? Marcus asked, gesturing toward the environmental chamber he'd constructed in the corner. Alara nodded, stepping into the small enclosure. Marcus activated the controls, slowly raising the temperature within the chamber to simulate desert conditions. Well, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Through the clear walls, he watched for any signs of distress, but Alara remained comfortable, her vitals stable on his monitor. After 15 minutes at maximum temperature, he powered down the chamber. Success, he declared as she emerged. You could walk through Death Valley at high noon. Impressive, Alara said, examining the readings herself. Though I prefer your basement. Marcus laughed, but the sound held a note of melancholy. The cooling system's completion meant one fewer obstacle to Alara's departure. Her ship's navigation system was nearly repaired. Soon she would need to decide whether to complete her mission or remain on Earth, an increasingly precarious option. As if reading his thoughts, Alara touched his arm. Have you considered my proposal? To come with me? Marcus met her gaze. Every day? Every night. He took her hand. I've been an astronomer my entire life, dreaming of the stars. But I never imagined actually traveling among them. Is it fear that gives you pause? She asked directly. Not fear exactly, he replied, searching for the right words. More. The enormity of it. Leaving behind everything I've known. Becoming the alien. Understanding dawned in her obsidian eyes. As I have been here. The parallel hadn't fully registered until she stated it so plainly. Alara had navigated an alien world with grace and courage, adapting to uncomfortable conditions and bizarre social customs while maintaining her essential self. You've been braver than I, he acknowledged. Not brave, she corrected. Simply following my heart's gravitational pull. The poetry of her scientific metaphors never failed to move him. He pulled her close, inhaling her faint mint scent. There's one more test we should conduct before declaring the cooling system complete. Her lips curved knowingly. A heat stress test of an intimate nature? For science, he confirmed solemnly, though his hands were already moving beneath the cooling garment. Their lovemaking had evolved over the months, each discovering the unique pleasures of the other's physiology. The cooling system added a new dimension, allowing Alara to fully express her passion without temperature concerns. Her luminescence flared brighter than ever, patterns of light playing across her skin in synchrony with her pleasure. Later, lying together in perfect thermal equilibrium, Marcus made his decision. I'll go with you, he whispered against her hair. Wherever your ship takes us. Alara propped herself up to look into his eyes. You're certain? As certain as the laws of physics, he replied. Some forces in the universe are irresistible. What we have defies astronomical odds. I won't let light years separate us. Her luminescence pulsed with joy, casting a gentle blue glow across the room. Then I must show you something. She rose and retrieved a small device from her belongings, one of the few alien artifacts she'd salvaged from her ship. Activating it created a three-dimensional holographic projection of a crystalline landscape, towering formations in hues of purple and silver, beneath twin moons that hung low in a deep indigo sky. Lyria, she explained unnecessarily, her voice soft with homesickness. This is the harmonic valley where I conducted most of my research. Marcus stared in wonder at the alien world, her world, that might soon become his home. It's beautiful. Different, but beautiful in its own way. Like your Earth. She manipulated the device, and the projection shifted to show elegant spires rising from the crystalline landscape. My research center. It would become your home too. Would your people accept me? He asked, the question that had troubled him most. Lyrian's prized knowledge above all else. A human scientist willing to share Earth's perspective would be deeply valued. She smiled. And as my sole resonant partner, you would have special status. The projected landscape shifted again, showing a breathtaking view of stars unlike any constellation pattern Marcus recognized, the night sky of Lyria. Different stars, he murmured. But still stars, Alara replied. The cosmos is vast, but the fundamental forces are universal. The hologram faded, leaving them in the soft light of the basement. Marcus reached for her hand, his mind made up. 2 weeks, he said. We need 2 weeks to finalize the ship repairs, gather what we need, and make arrangements for my absence. Your career, Alara began. Can wait, Marcus finished. I'll request an extended research sabbatical. Alvarez will understand enough to approve it without too many questions. She studied his face. You would truly leave your world for mine? I'm an astronomer, he replied with a smile. Exploring strange new worlds is literally my job description. The next morning, as they finalized plans over breakfast, the doorbell rang, an unusual occurrence since Marcus had been avoiding social calls since the reception incident. He opened the door to find Professor Alvarez standing on his porch again, but this time, he wasn't alone. A woman in a crisp suit stood beside him, her expression professionally neutral. Marcus, Alvarez said, his voice strained. This is Dr. Helen Winters from the Extraterrestrial Research Division. She has some questions about your Norwegian friend. Marcus's blood ran cold. Victor, you promised. I kept your secret, Alvarez insisted. But the photos from the reception went viral. Someone in the astrobiology department at MIT recognized the physiological inconsistencies and alerted their contacts at NASA. Dr. Winters stepped forward. Dr. Rodriguez, we're not here to cause trouble. We simply want to establish diplomatic communication with your extraterrestrial guest. Marcus blocked the doorway. She's not a diplomatic mission or a research subject. She's a private individual whose ship malfunctioned. A private individual who represents first contact with an advanced civilization, Dr. Winters countered. Surely you understand the significance. Behind Marcus, Alara appeared at the foot of the stairs. She wore her cooling garment beneath a simple dress, her blue skin undisguised, her eyes their natural obsidian. I can speak for myself, she said calmly. Please come in, Dr. Winters. The next few hours passed in tense conversation. Dr. Winters explained that a small government team had been quietly assembled to handle potential first contact scenarios, operating outside the public eye to prevent panic or media sensationalism. We're not interested in detaining or studying you, she assured Alara. We're interested in establishing peaceful relations with your people. My people don't yet know your planet harbors intelligent life, Alara explained. I am a xenobiological researcher who happened upon your world during a routine survey. My mission was observation only. And now? Dr. Winters asked. Alara's gaze shifted to Marcus. Now my mission parameters have evolved. Understanding dawned on Dr. Winters' face as she looked between them. I see. Well, that's unexpected but not entirely surprising, given human history. Explorers often form attachments to the new worlds they discover. The conversation continued, with Dr. Winters outlining a proposal. Alara would be granted special diplomatic status, allowing her to remain on Earth legally while serving as an unofficial ambassador for her world. In exchange, she would provide limited cultural and scientific information about Lyria, nothing that would compromise her people's security or technological advantage, but enough to establish groundwork for potential future relations. And what about Marcus? Alara asked pointedly. Dr. Rodriguez would be assigned as your official Earth liaison, Dr. Winters explained. His academic position would be maintained, with additional funding for research into compatible climate technologies. Marcus and Alara exchanged glances. It wasn't the escape to the stars they had planned, but it offered something perhaps more valuable, legitimacy. A way to exist together in the open without fear. After Dr. Winters and Alvarez departed, they sat in silence, considering the new possibility before them. You could stay, Marcus said finally. Legally. Safely. And continue my research, Alara added. But with official support rather than in secret. What about your ship? Your return to Lyria? Alara's expression grew thoughtful. The ship could be repaired for interplanetary travel without full interstellar capability. Meaning we could use it to explore your solar system together, she explained. Venus's upper atmosphere, Mars's poles, Europa's oceans, all while maintaining Earth as our home base. The possibility unfolded before them, not a binary choice between worlds, but a bridge between them. Marcus would not have to abandon his world, and Alara would not remain forever stranded from the stars. And someday, Alara continued, when relations between our worlds are properly established, we could visit Lyria together, not as refugees, but as diplomats. Marcus took her hand, feeling the cool softness of her skin against his. The best of both worlds. 6 months later, Marcus stood beside Alara on a private observation deck at NASA's Johnson Space Center. Through the massive windows, they watched as scientists and engineers swarmed around her repaired ship, now retrofitted with compatible Earth technology. Your cooling system design has been incorporated into the new spacecraft, Dr. Winters reported, approaching with tablet in hand. The modified environmental controls will allow comfortable conditions for both human and Lyrian physiology during extended missions. When's the test flight? Marcus asked, unable to hide his excitement. Next week. Lunar orbit only for the first mission, but if all goes well, Mars by next quarter. She smiled. You've been cleared for both missions, Dr. Rodriguez. As Dr. Winters departed, Alara turned to Marcus, her luminescence visible even through her clothing, a sign of her happiness that she no longer tried to hide. From hiding in your basement to exploring your solar system, she mused. Not the outcome my research parameters predicted. Marcus laughed. Science is all about unexpected results. Indeed. She studied his face. Any regrets about not making the interstellar journey to Lyria? None, he replied honestly. We'll get there eventually. But this way, we get to build something more important first. What's that? Understanding between our worlds. He pulled her close, mindful of the other personnel nearby, but no longer concerned about hiding their relationship. Besides, I'm an astronomer. I know that the best way to appreciate the stars is to take your time exploring them, one constellation at a time. Alara's cool lips found his, her luminescence pulsing with love. A wise approach to astronomy, she murmured. And a love across the stars. Outside the window, Earth's sun began to set, casting golden light across the landscape. For once, Alara didn't retreat from the warmth, protected by the cooling system that had become a symbol of their relationship, technology and biology in perfect equilibrium, allowing two different worlds to coexist in harmony. As darkness fell and the stars appeared, they stood together at the threshold of possibility, their love having conquered not just Earth's heat, but the vast cold of space itself.